Happy Tuesday, everybody. My name's Aaron Kona. I'm the co-founder, managing director here at BWG Connect. We're a giant networking and knowledge sharing group, thousands of brands. We kicked off about 6 years ago, just looking for the opportunity to connect with other individuals in the space, network, knowledge, share together to stay on top of the biggest trends. I spend most of my time talking to brands that start up the Fortune 100 up pretty much every vertical, just to figure out, hey, what's top of mind? What are you interested in? What are you trying to solve for? And when the same topics come up over and over again, we host events like this. We'll do close to 100 in-person events this year, small format dinners across the US, a couple hundred of these webinars. We get those ideas, like I was saying, it's just from the conversations we're having. So look for a follow-up email from us. Love to have a chat with you. A couple housekeeping items as we get started. We want this to be as educational and informational as possible. So at any point in time, if you have questions, drop them into the chat. Drop them into the Q&A or shoot me an email at Aaron, AARON at bwgconnect.com. We want to field those questions real time as they come in. The other thing is we're starting a few minutes after the hour, and just so everybody knows, we're going to wrap up with time left in the hour as well. Make sure you have plenty of time to get on to your next meeting without being late. As we kind of kick off, this topic, unlocking hidden profits, how e-commerce analytics and monitoring can help brands and retailers recover lost revenue. I think everybody's trying to hone in on the right tech stack at this point in time. They're looking for those that are going to better inform them of what their shoppers are doing, the consumers on their website, what's meaningful, what's not, how do we interact with them. And we've got some great friends, partners, supporters of the network over at Webeyez. And Yuri is on the line today to kind of give us a rundown and give us some clarity around what they're seeing is happening with consumers and helping conversion. But Yuri, I'll kick it over to you. You want to do an intro on yourself and Webeyez and what you guys do, because you're very unique. You've come up from a few different brands now. But if you want to jump in, intro on yourself and Webeyez and what you do, that'd be awesome. And then we can kind of jump into the conversation. Sound good?
Sure. So I'm Uri Strauss, co-founder at Webeyez. The way the Webeyez actually began was out of a personal pain. I had a development agency, and we were outsourcing development to many e-commerce websites. And I would get, I don't know if bashed is the word, but I would get many complaints about issues happening on the website. Conversions down, something happened since Monday. There's a customer in China, they can't log in. There's kind of this noise that came in. And as a tech guy, I was trying to understand what's happening. And I couldn't find any tool that can solve my personal problem. And that's how Webeyez began. So we had this sidekick of a platform. Internally to better serve customers, to understand where there's friction and what's happening. It turned out that I fell in love with that and not with outsourcing development. Turned that into the business, and what I understood even more later on was a year into founding the company, was that my pain is much smaller than the business guys that are asking the questions. I understood that their pain is much larger because they're actually in charge of the KPIs, the sales, revenue, etc. I was just looking to find good answers and to fix problems. So we twisted the platform around to serve more the business. And basically that's how Webeyez was founded, and that's what we do. So we're an analytics and monitoring platform specifically designed for e-commerce. And what we do is we just, in real time, spotlight all the friction points of real users on the website, how much it's costing and lost revenue, and how to fix it.
Yeah. Awesome. So just a reminder as we jump into the conversation, if you have any questions along the way, don't hesitate to drop them into the chat or the Q&A. We'll get them answered. So, that's what I think was, in our conversations is, what was really interesting is that real-time monitoring of what's taking place. And from your standpoint, I guess the first one is, how many people are doing this well, do you think, on a percentage wise? Mm-hmm. And then how crucial is it for e-commerce businesses at this point in time, to have an analytics and monitoring platform, right?
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your thoughts there. How many people are doing it currently? And then how crucial is it to have something like this in place?
Good question. So I think at the moment, there's like lack of knowledge of how to do it. Most of the people that we speak with are just not aware, or let me say it differently. They are aware, but they don't understand there is a solution. And they have hunches. I mean, it's like exactly like those people that were calling me up as the support guy, and they knew something's off, but they had no idea how to actually understand what's really working, what's really not working, where it's breaking. So unfortunately, not many are doing it. And in terms of the importance, I mean, first of all, it's always important that's obvious, because you do want to have like a frictionless, funnel. You don't want your customers to suffer, but especially in these specific times, where the interest rate is really high, and the consumer is just spending less on the sites, and the cost of goods is of course rising, and the return on ad spend is decreasing. The CAC is high. It's tough times. Okay, it's tough times to sell. And another stat that we saw was that like 88% of users that hit your shop and they have like a bad experience, they don't return. So that's a huge problem. And basically, to have like a successful e-commerce site and a shop, you have to. I mean, the first purchase is great. But the most important is the returning customers. So if they're not getting value, if they're getting bad experience, that's when they churn, and that's when they don't come back. So the name of the game is LTV and returning customers. So it's super, super critical in any economy to do it, but specifically in this economy where the unit economics is tough. So it's super important to monitor and to make sure that at least you're not failing there. You can fail in other places, but at least not on things that can be fixed really easily. And having these friction roadblocks for your customers, just lift them, make sure that that's not your problem. You can have other problems, but at least not something that's so basic in the user experience.
Yeah. So when we're talking like real-time monitoring, is it behavioral analytics, or is it just where people, just a couple people are like chatting me on, where does it break down? Is it behavioral analytics, or is maybe it's both? Is it's just all of a sudden we see people leaving the website and we don't know why? We just know, conversion rate has gone down, or
Right.
The dollars aren't there.
Right. So I mean, everyone has like some kind of analytics, right? They have like GA, Google Analytics. It could be Adobe Analytics. Everyone has some kind of analytics. The problem with analytics is, I mean, it's good, and of course you should keep it, and it has the stuff that you can understand. But the biggest problem is what you don't understand, which is basically, for example, you have 100 people on the product page, you have 20 people adding to cart. What happened to the other 80%? Why aren't they adding to cart? What is the friction there? What's the problem? And this is what we solve. So for us, a friction can be it's tangible. So it can be we divide it like into two kind of friction points. One would be the business, and the second would be the tech. So in the business, it would be more like they're trying to add to cart, it's out of stock, quantity unavailable, the button doesn't work, the server's down while they're clicking. Those kinds of issues. It could be on the payments, where people don't understand that there's a checkbox on the bottom and they have to check it, or the CVV is hidden, or the payment is just down for a minute, 2, 10, whatever. So these are all friction points. On the tech side, it's more like third-party JavaScript errors, it's load time, it's failed calls, all those things that are causing friction. So it's actual tangible issues that are happening. And it doesn't have to be a breakdown of the site. It can be something in the flow, something in the messaging, in the usability, and we detect all those friction points and quantify that into lost revenue.
You're the why. That's what you are. Yeah. You're the why.
Exactly.
No, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it because I think about how much time is spent on trying to figure out what went wrong, and then an explanation around what went wrong, especially executive teams pressure is higher than it's ever been. You're talking about LTV, right? We're talking about conversion, right? We're talking about returning customers, and churn, whatever it might be.
Mhm.
And when the numbers go down, everybody wants to know why, right? Why? And you, no, I love it. As we kind of get into this, is you're
That's
answering
yeah.
that question that can be delivered. Why? Why? Because, the payments portal went down. Well, is that our fault or was it their fault? Like, you can then splice and dice it, but it's real time. So then are you fixing it? Right. This isn't like an end of week report. Is flagging like
Um,
real time as well?
so let me answer that. I'll just about the
Yeah.
what you just spoke about. So that's the biggest problem to understand. Like, there's a conversion drop. What happened?
Yeah.
And that's like that's the biggest thing. That's when I had an agency, trying to answer those questions was super difficult. And there's always optimizations that can be done. So it doesn't have to be like a catastrophe. It can be small things that are moving the needle, and it can be like this huge thing that's causing like lost revenue. So detecting it is the hard part. And another thing is that, I mean, there's no tool that's perfect, so you can't detect everything. We can tell you what it's not. So if it's not detected, we can tell you that it's not these 30 things that probably you have a hunch, that since 1, 2, 3, and then you uploaded this version, and then this happened, and then the user called. Because usually, how do customers today understand? I mean, merchants, how do they understand that there's issues? Customer support, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's like one phone call, 2 phone calls, 10 phone calls. Okay, I think it's a problem. It's already 10. Is it 10 or 100? 10 call, maybe it's 100. And then, but if it's only 2, is that like a bug? Is that a problem? Anyway, so that's where we help, like, put the flashlight, understand exactly what's happening, how to fix it, etc. So back to your question. So yeah, first of all, it's real time. So it's you can't react like a week later. That just won't work. So it's a real time platform, and it's on top of your real customers on the website. So it's not a simulation of, okay, let's have a robot at the cart, checkout, etc. It's actual users purchasing with their browser device, etc. So it's a real traffic. And of course there's alerts, anomalies, etc., because you're not 24/7 in front of the portal. I think the most interesting thing we came out with was actually fixing the problem. Because what we see a lot with merchants is the backlog is endless. There's what's more important. There's this new feature coming out. There's this new brand that we're launching. There's a new category. It's endless, right? There's always this is more, and now GA4 is coming out, so we have to develop. I mean, to integrate GA4 before that. So everything is important. It's really hard to prioritize. So one thing is that we prioritize for the customers because there's a price tag on the fix or on the development or on the workaround for the solution. Because if you know that you're losing $50,000 on this specific issue in the past 2 weeks, that's the ballpark you're going to get back. If this is, I mean, it's very hard. It's very easy to prioritize that way. And the second is we have a layer. I wouldn't say fix, but we patch the solutions for merchants. So again, one of the problems is time and or like time and material and actually development time. So what we do is we call it engage, and what we do is we just it's a trigger and action rule based. So for example, if the simplest one, for example, if there's a promotion code that's failing twice in a row, pop up a promotion code that we know that's working, and that'll work for you. Or if there's a payment failure, let's pop up the chat. Or if there's a 404 page, let's redirect. Surveys on the thank you page. So there's all kinds of, so we integrate into other third parties too. So basically it's a drag and drop solution, no development, and we give the solution to the consumer, I mean, to the merchant, sorry, without any development. And then they can put it in the pipeline. It can take 2 months, but at least it's patched for the moment.
Yeah. Awesome. Getting back to like some of the data points, like what specific metrics, data points should businesses be looking at from the e-commerce side when it comes to analytics and monitoring? Are there ones that like stand out above the others? Because I can see people going back and saying, okay, I've got to do an overall review. I want to take a look into what's going on. What would be like the first, like the top things from specific data points or metrics?
Um, so I'll answer it a bit differently. So I'll categorize it into what's working and what's not working. So for example, what's working would be, I would like to see the channels that are performing the best. And of course, the bottom line is sales conversion. That's the bottom line. Of course, there's key metrics like average order value, etc. But we're looking at, transaction sales. That's why we have a shop. We want to sell. So you want to, that's like the key metric. So what you want to see is, first of all, what is working, because that's what you want to help your customers down that specific funnel. If it's a specific product, if it's a specific flow that users take, if it's a specific channel, and maybe there's a different attribution. Maybe it's someone that hit social first and then they came through performance, etc. So if it's a specific promotion that went well and actually the ROI on it is huge. So it really depends, but just make sure you do understand what is the user behavior, and that the users understand what they need to do and what is working the best. So that's, we're not into that business. You have the regular analytics like Adobe, Google, etc. That's key, because you do want to understand, what is working and push harder on that. And then the other side is what's not working. So first of all, it's the same like list of, the channels, the product, the flows, the promotion, etc. You just want to make sure what's not working. Plus the basic fundamentals of all the friction points that are in place and you're just not aware of. Because there's, I'll just give you statistics like it's over, I can't remember the exact number, but like over 30% of customers fail on their first login. And that is a huge conversion hit. Surprisingly, like we were pretty surprised with the first customers, then we saw this is like a trend. This is how it works. The system is operating correctly. Everything, it's a wrong password. You shouldn't be logged in. But that's a huge friction point. There's ways around that. Promotion codes that are not working. The psychology behind that is people want a promotion, right? Even though and promotions are not easy, and there's promotion codes running all over the internet, and there's honey, the extension. There's many things, but bottom line is, I think the average is 22% drop in conversion if someone fails at least once in a session when they try a coupon. So even mathematically giving 5% discount will solve that problem. So just uplift conversion by 17% just by giving that 5%. Psychologically, they feel good. They just solve their problem. They're happy. They'll move on. So that's just.
No, that is awesome, right? Because that checkout, I want a discount. So instead of just going, if you see that's an issue, maybe it's not an issue, but if it is an issue, have a pop-up say, hey, that code is expired, but here's 5% off.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, exactly.
What about some like real world examples around like e-commerce analytics and monitoring, right? How they like directly contribute to.
So actually, I think if it's okay with you, I have, we have Webeyez data for this. And by the way, it's open on the website. So you can also log in and, sorry, not log in. You can just look at, go to webeyez.com and we have the lost revenue calculator. So this is totally, totally open. So what I'll show you is, share my screen. So I think this is super beneficial because, if you're a merchant, this is probably the issues your customers are facing on average, okay? Because this is data that's taken from a database, anonymously, of course, for all of our customers, where our business is losing money on a business side and on tech side, okay? So I'll try to run this quickly because it's very detailed. And there's also the solutions here. So what you can do to solve these problems. Okay, so we talked about the login and registration. So this accounts for 26% of the lost revenue inside the business. Place order, discounts, etc. This is for a customer that has, a merchant that has an average order value of $100 and has an average of 1 million sessions per month. Okay, so all these stats you're going to see are based on 1 million sessions per month and an AOV of $100. So what you see here is, for example, the first issue is login and registration. This is the sum of money that probably is being lost. Again, what I told you about before is the username and password invalid. There's also technical errors, registration errors, etc. I mean, what can you do to solve it? The user forgot a password, right? So all kinds of ways around it. If it's like the social login, Google, Facebook, etc., a one-time password you can generate, a magic link which you get in an email click, you're logged in. These are the social logins, a rewards program which helps a lot, and make sure that the email, once you reset the password, this is just usability, but just appending the email to the forgot password just makes it easy for the user to continue the flow. So this is just one issue with the login and registration. Place order. Okay, so we see many issues with place order. Some of them are tech issues, some are not. And you can see here, like the credit card declined is like, and this is aggregated. There's all kinds of issues with, but we aggregate into one. It's like $1,000 of that. Tech errors account for like $10,000 and shipping address. And the solutions for that is, there's a few. So one of them would be like adding more payment options, because many customers have just one of them. It's usually like a credit card. If it's Afterpay, if it's Amazon Pay, if it's Apple Pay, etc., just add more and more, because usually, I mean, one can work, the other won't. It's just like, I mean, if you're in a physical store, right? If someone tries to purchase and you swipe the card and it's not working, I'm guessing the person at the store will say, listen, hey, do you have, maybe let's try a different card, or let's call up the credit card company because you got this text message and you have to verify. There's all kinds of ways around it, but online it's very cold, so people don't get that help. Trigger chat. So just open up the chat. If you have a chat on the payment page, you have a problem. I mean, just open up the chat, send that information to the chat agent so they can just help you while it's hot, not just send out an email a day later. Hey, you forgot this in your cart. I didn't. I actually tried to pay and I couldn't. Payment gateways. So this is more like a fraud. We see a lot of fraud happening. And there's all kinds of products that are more fraud prone. So just have the gateways that are stronger with fraud on the products that are actually more fraudulent versus the products that usually are not fraud. And by the way, the last thing is we saw this with one merchant that worked amazing. The biggest problem with place order, this friction is, this is a person that's trying to, I mean, this is the last step, right? This is the end. What they do is they accept all payments. It doesn't matter if it failed, it was successful. Because again, psychology is that the person that just purchased is done with a decision. The decision was made, it was purchased. A day later, and they don't ship it out, of course. If there is a problem, a day later, you get an email address, you get an email saying, we're so sorry, there's a problem with your credit card, if you could just fix it. So the decision is done, I was just fixing a small problem, which is really cool. We saw that work with one customer, it worked amazing.
So they just hold the transaction there.
Yeah.
Just hold the transaction, don't kick it out right away, hold it for one day. You've got them anticipating, and then you go back and you say, hey, actually, you messed up here.
Yeah.
Right. There's a problem with the payment. We want to ship it to you. Click here, update the data, and the product goes out.
So we see a drop in conversion between, it just depends on the products and on the merchants, between 20 and 40% on the payment failures. I think the worst that we saw is like 70% drop. So it's like 30% success if you have at least one failure in the checkout. So that's painful. Cost of acquisition is crazy. You already got them to the point you want, but it's failing because of stuff that can be bypassed and fixed. Yeah, so that's a great solution too. Discount codes, again, technical issues, invalid coupons, etc. Our solution is just pop up something that you know that works. Small coupon, 5%, 3%, whatever it is, just make that person feel good. They got the coupon they wanted. And by the way, we see a lot of issues. I mean, all over. This is like a general saying that messaging can be better always. For example, on discounts and coupons, it's like wrong coupon, please try again. Okay. I mean, I copied and pasted, it's working. Usually it's a problem with it's not the right product. You have to have at least $100 for the free shipping. It's 1+1, you didn't choose the other one. There's all kinds of give more information. Because what people are trying to do, copy paste, enter. It's like you see the frustration. And even if you could say the coupon is not valid anymore, we're sorry, here's a 5% discount code, people will convert. Yeah, page, I mean, there's a lot. I don't want to go into all the details. And on a tech level, there's all kinds of, I mean, this is not a tech discussion, but on a very high level, make sure that you know what JavaScript is running on your site. Usually it's very easy to add JavaScript, like with the Google Tag Manager. Usually you just add, you never remove. Just make sure that you're cleaning up your tag manager, that you know what's running. Whatever can be down in the list and not up high, because everyone wants to be in the head, put them down as low as possible. No, I mean, only if it's super critical, put them up. Don't put anything in the head. And make sure you know what's running. Page load.
This is all like standard on your platform. So if somebody engages, they plug this in and they get feedback, and is it over the course of a week? Well, you said it's real time, so it just keeps rolling, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to. I can go into this for hours, like page load time, etc. And there's so much to do. And this is the kind of data we collect, and this is the kind of data we present. Like this is the friction. This is how much it's costing you, and we actually solve the problem for the merchants.
The what and why, so what's going wrong, then the prioritization.
Right. And then we just patch it up, I mean, again, solve, I'm not sure if solve is the word, but we patch it up for the customer because it's there's other priorities in place, but at least patch it up so you don't have this pitfall again. And then you can solve it with a development company when time comes.
Super intrigued. And we never get into like sales pitches, but what is the lift to onboarding Webeyez? What does that lift look like?
It's Google Tag Manager. That's it. I mean, it's there's zero development, there's zero configuration, settings, taggings. Everything is automatic. We have some machine learning logic that detects all the goals automatically. It takes like 2 to 3 days. Goal success, goal failures, anomaly detection, root cause analysis, all that is in place, and you just need to put the code on the page. That's it.
Wow. Awesome. Just reminders, people have more questions, drop them in the chat or the Q&A. We'll get as many answered as possible. What do you see as like, I mean, this is like table stakes at this point in time, right? How do you operate a business without knowing what's going on if it's this easily installed and available, right? And I know it's a complicated product, but if it's this easy to install, is everybody's got to have something like this. If you've got an investment in a direct consumer site and you want to grow it, you're wasting money if you don't have something like this. You're just outlining it, right? I put in the chat, everybody, the lost revenue simulator. So I went out to your site and just found the link and dropped it in there for everybody. Mm-hmm. But what is, I mean,
I'm of course biased. And of course this is like, I think
if somebody has a question, if you can drop into the Q&A or into the chat, that'd be awesome. Yeah.
I mean, we believe that this is like the first building block in understanding what's going on. And you have to have an analytics platform that's important. And there's all kinds of server-side monitoring, like called APMs, application performance monitoring. If it's a New Relic, App Dynamics, all good. All of our customers have those. That's super important. But connecting those dots of friction points, technology, business, where you're losing revenue, um, you may be losing only 10%, or you may be losing 40%. It just depends. You are losing revenue. It just depends where. And at the moment, I mean, people are just blind to it. It's so frustrating to speak with merchants who are just not aware.
There's something I was thinking about that. Then Erica drops in here. Who are your major competitors and how are you different? Which is, there are some out there that are incredibly expensive though, right? Anyways,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
kick that over to you.
Yeah, I think maybe the closest would be Content Square. The thing is, they sell more to larger customers, enterprise customers, and I mean, they have also other operations that they do, but specifically the friction points and fixing the problems. That's of course something that's very unique to us. And the onboarding. So onboarding there takes like 2 months of hard work.
Yeah. Price tag high, a little bit more complicated.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And if others have questions, it looks like maybe Justin had one. If you want to drop it in the chat or the Q&A, we can tackle those as well. Like, what are the biggest like things that stick out are there like a top 3 that you normally, it gets loaded on, and these are the top 3 or 4 things that immediately stand out that people, if they walk away from here, here's one. How does it compare to other session recording providers?
So to your question, yeah. So I think the immediates are what's happening on login registration, on adding to cart, and on a checkout. Those are like the 3 that there's always issues, or when the cart loads, what kind of errors, out of stock issues, which people are just not aware of. Everyone knows there's out of stock. You don't know the demand of the out of stock, and we can detect that too. But a lot of it is around those, the goals themselves, and where there's friction on the goals. So that's like something they can see like in a week, like once you have like trends and you can see that. And the second would be the whole tech stack. So you can see like all the third parties that you're using. Are they throwing errors? Is it affecting conversion rate? Is it slowing down the website? What can be done to fix it? And then of course we patch it up, but those are like the things that pop up. And to the second question about session recording. So, I mean, we also have session recording in the tool. So the flow would be, you see that there's like $30,000 lost in add to cart. Here are the top 10 reasons. Here are the sessions that had that problem. Then you can play them back and visualize exactly the problem. So it takes like 1 minute to get to all the sessions that had that specific problem, and play them back. In many cases, you don't have to play them back. You have enough information in the error message to understand exactly what happened. If you want to visualize, you can. The problem with session, I mean, as an agency, when I started off with session recording. It's just impossible to find the right sessions. And usually it's also sampled data. So it's like 10% of what's happening. So maybe I'm missing like 50% of what's happening and I have no idea. And it's very hard to understand because it's thousands and hundreds of thousands of sessions that you have to play back one by one and then mentally connect all the dots of, oh, this happened. Did it happen? Like, it's like a memory game. Wait, it happened 3 more times, right? And then you have like 100 tabs open on your browser. It's very hard to understand, like, is this happening a lot? You can't connect the dots. Well, we reversed it. We extracted all that information, created an analytics platform above the errors, messages, user behavior, etc. And if you want in the end, you can also play it back. We just reverse the way that you do it.
Yeah. No, I love it. Yeah, I lived in that space too. They trying to drive down into a multiple session recordings and then cross compare what's going on, what you feel is going on, as opposed to what actually is taking place.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess this kind of goes into a previous question that came out, but where are merchants losing the most revenue that you see right now? Is there a common area? So is it like checkout? And now I'm just pulling some threads here too. Is it at checkout? And then is there a portion of checkout? Is it?
Yeah. So checkout is the biggest because, I'll just explain a second about lost revenue. So lost revenue is basically we look at all the sessions, for example, checkout. We look at all the sessions that have only successful checkouts, which basically is 100%. I mean, if we're looking at those sessions that actually checked out, so it's 100% of success, versus the ones that have at least one failure. And then we compare the conversion rate between the two. That's how we come up with the lost conversion, and then with the average order value and the number of sessions, we understand the size of the lost revenue. So checkout, of course, I mean, because you're comparing it to 100% of success, anything under that is lost revenue. So, I mean, by the way, we also see issues, for example, in coupons that are not affecting conversion rate, or in add to cart, which people added to cart a different product. So you don't see a big difference. That's also very important because not every friction point is actually causing lost revenue. There are some friction points in some cases with some merchants. You're not losing money there. So it's not a priority. It's friction, but it's not a priority. You don't have to run. You only run after the ones that are actually causing lost revenue. So back to the checkout. Checkout is number one because we're comparing versus 100% of success. Anything below that, so it's always losing revenue. Now the question is how much. So I think the highest effect of conversion rate would be 70% that we saw. I think that's one merchant. But on average, it's between 20 and 40% in lost revenue just on the checkout page if you have at least one failure. So that's awful. Login is tough, and it's like the simplest to solve, and it's tough. It's like people don't even look at that. How many people just have friction in login? They try to log in once, twice, they forgot the password, they're out. Of course, as we talked about the solutions to bypass it, also anonymous login, checkout, sorry. There's all kinds of ways around, or the wish list won't work, etc. There's all kinds of reasons you log in different places in the funnel. But the bottom line is it's friction. And technology, people, it's common knowledge, that each second in load time is 7% drop in conversion. So, and today it's not that easy because there's like 3 metrics, right? It's Google Core Vitals. So it's even harder to understand like how to measure that and what's good and what's medium and what needs improvement, how to fix it. So that's like out of the gate usually an issue. There's always issues with load time. Most of our merchants work with some kind of platform. If it's a Shopify, Magento, if it's sorry, all the names just
big commerce
tools, Salesforce,
Shopware. Yeah,
exactly. So I mean, these are the top 3 for us. It's like Magento we see a lot, and Shopify, and each one has its pros and cons. I mean, nothing's perfect. Even when you develop your own website and your own shop, let's say there's many problems there too. So we always see tech issues happening. If it's third parties, if it's load time, if it's CLS time, core vitals, that's like a given. That's what happens.
Yeah, and you're making the recommendation. I think that's the other thing is a lot of times what people run into is once they found out what's wrong, right? So, hey, we got a couple of things happen. One is, okay, is there one thing wrong or are there 15 things wrong? Mm-hmm. Next one is, okay, there's 10 things wrong. How do I prioritize? Okay, I've got them in this order to prioritize. The next one is, what do I actually do? Right. So if it is checkout, if it is the coupon code, if it is a recommendation, what do you actually do? Right. And do you guys step in and then, I mean, you provide like, hey, this is what most people do?
Yeah. So I mean, specifically Webeyez has like a monthly call because we also, we learned a lot during this process. We learned that people buy products and then rarely use them. And that was an insight that we understood, that we have to give amazing service because even if we deliver the problem and easy to consume on a plate, still now the question would be, okay, so what do I do with that? So we have a lot of knowledge in place to help with that. Plus, again, we have Webeyez Engaged. So you just create an automation. We help you with that too. Just create that automation, put it in place. You solve the problem. And again, you can open up a task, development, etc. But we help you patch all that like in real time.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. And then I guess the other standpoint is going to be like, in my mind, as I'm listening to this, do you basically just pay for yourself then? Like, is it like a month to month? Like, it would seem to be, I would plug you in and I would know in 30 days if this is value add or not.
Yeah. I mean, like a lot of SaaSes, we have like the monthly and the annual. So we want to make sure that that our customer understands the value. Of course, I mean, we have a demo, we present the platform, everything is clear. Some just purchase it they understand the value, they understand they're paying, they just purchase it for 1 year, they get a discount, etc. Some are they want to see it, they want to see it working. We have the monthly process. They make sure they get the value. Once they're they're more relaxed with that, they just move into the yearly, the annual program. But yeah, we support monthly too.
Yeah, I mean that's key. I think for a lot of just conversations I'm having, there's a lot of stuff being pitched out there, and sign up for a year is hard to do. Another question comes in: has your tool been used to detect friendly fraud? For example, a product is purchased and then they generate a return label, but they do not return the product.
So not exactly. We had actually one merchant that we worked with, which we supported them. I mean, we also work with so Webeyez works with 4 not verticals, but not segments. We work with the e-commerce team, the sales, e-commerce, etc. We work with the product team, we work with the tech team, and we work with customer support. So this is more helping our customer support understand like what happened exactly, because we have the session recording, so you can, and it takes like 1 second to find the exact transaction. So it's very easy to understand the transactions. We do not, we do help analyze what happened and show that it was actually purchased, but we're not into the shipping and to the returns part. That's like after Webeyez.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, that's a tough one. Unless it's their, a habitual offender, and maybe they're logged in a database somewhere. In that case, jump over to one of the major fraud platforms, or maybe even one of these newer ones that are not quite, as antiquated and more just built on AI and behavioral analytics and everything. So,
this is a good question, because this is not exactly what we do, but because we're on hundreds of websites and we have great relationships with great vendors, so we know many great vendors. If it's development companies, because we hear our customers, what's working, what's not working. They're trying out all kinds of things. Vendors that are like anti-fraud. We just met with a great company that's doing great business with one of our customers that helps exactly with this kind of a problem with the returns. So we're also, our goal is to help our customers sell more. If it's with Webeyez platform, if it's with the service that we're giving, or if it's vendors that we know that can help a specific problem that Webeyez doesn't solve, we're there. We just want to make sure that the value is, that our customers selling more.
Yeah. Oh, they were just asking, what's the fraud company, I think.
I can send it later. We just met them yesterday.
Okay. We'll connect you. We'll connect you with everybody. And then, whoever wants the name of that company, just write them back and just ask for it. And more than happy to share it, I'm sure. What didn't we hit on today? We covered a ton. We're kind of getting to the end here. If there's other questions, drop in the chat or the Q&A. Is there anything we missed?
I'll just say, not Webeyez, but you should make sure you understand what's not working on your website. That's, I think, the basic thing. It's not easy, but if you don't want to pay for Webeyez, you can develop some kinds of stuff. And there's like 3 things you want to do. One is understand, track your users, your real-time users. The second is prioritize only based on lost revenue, because today it's very hard to prioritize otherwise, because it's a hunch. I think it's like an A/B test, I'm going to add this product, but I'm going to have this shipping, I'll move the shipping information to step number 4, not step number 3. There's all kinds of things that you're testing out, but try to have decision-making done based on, specifically in our world, based on lost revenue, not on, okay, this is happening 20,000 times, and this is only happening 1,000 times, I'll fix it 20,000 times. It may be that's not causing any friction, any lost revenue. You should fix whatever is hurting the most. So track it, prioritize based on that, and then just resolve it. I mean, because you don't know what's happening, that's not good enough, because you're just unaware of what's happening. Make sure, you are losing revenue. The question is where it's happening and how much. Find a way, if it's Webeyez, if it's not, whatever it is, find a way to understand why and where you're losing money and solve it. And that's like the worst. People don't come back. People, like 90% will not come back to your brand. It's a hit.
No, I think you nailed it at the beginning too, when you're talking about it's kind of frustrating for you, is that there is a solution out there that people just don't know about it, or they've been presented with, like, they see everything that's going on with the Content Squared, which is a great tool for an enterprise level company, and the sticker shock. And then they sit back and say, there's no way I can do it. And then they sit in a spot where there's things that can be easily detected, easily fixed, if they just had a tool to do it. So I know you guys come highly recommended throughout the network, and you're doing some awesome things. So really appreciate kind of all the work that you're doing in this space. And I encourage anybody you have a follow-up call, reach out to them. We can connect you via email as well. Worth that. I mean, it is month to month, so try it for a month. It pays for itself.
Exactly.
Pretty much almost every case. Unless you already have a perfect website, then probably not. But other than that, I'd say, hey, have that follow-up conversation with the team over at Webeyez. I'd love to have a conversation with you as well. We don't sell anything here at BWG Connect. We're always just looking for those next great topics that are helping people solve digital problems that they have in the world today. Uri, I could go over any last thoughts here as we get to the final minute or so.
Actually, I'm just looking for the company. I'm looking for the company name that for the fraud. No, I think that's it. I mean, again, it's an easy decision, because we're not expensive. Onboarding is super easy. You are losing money, and we have positive ROI out of the gate. So
it's awesome. You built something awesome. And I love it. So, but with that, we're going to wrap up this webinar here. Again, thanks everybody for dialing in. Thanks for the great questions. Hope everybody has a fantastic Tuesday. Everybody stay safe, and look forward to having you at a future event. Thanks again, Yuri. We'll see you, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.